thinking about it?
Because you put it on me, so I'm thinking about it, obviously.
You go to sleep thinking about that, man? Come on.
Key,
wake up thinking.
He doesn't go to sleep.
Up.
He has a baby in the house.
I'm going to sleep. But secondly, when people are texting me, I'm getting hot about it.
Oh, text. Oh, I thought you meant like the Twitter world or something.
No, Twitter don't bother me.
Listen, guys, we have a lot to get into.
That wouldn't be true, but
Twitter don't bother me.
A lot to get into today here on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max Nation. You can be a part of it on the Dr. Pepper call line, 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It ain't college football season without the delicious taste of an ice cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. So, Key, I know you thought that the Bills had an advantage in this game coming up, but now that you know Skylar Thompson is going to start at quarterback in the freezing cold in Buffalo, I'll bet your opinion has changed because Tua is out.
Yeah, Tyler's a nice little player.
Look, Tagovailoa has been in concussion protocol since December 26th, okay? After suffering his second documented concussion. Remember that first one? That was obviously a concussion. They didn't document as a concussion. Whatever it was a neurological event.
he told him it was his back or something.
Yeah, it was his back.
That's what they said.
Yeah, because the backbone is connected to the brain bone, right? You know, like he had a neurological event, lost balance, fell down, right? And then he had a scary concussion. And at any rate, so that was right before his second documented concussion was the day before the loss to the Green Bay Packers. Okay, so we were talking about this yesterday, and the conclusion I reached was, I don't care what happens in protocol. I don't care what the league says. This is Mike McDaniel's time to say, wait, to be the adult in the room, to do the Mike Tomlin and say, no, yeah, you ain't playing. Common sense takes over. We got to care about the player. You ain't playing. But he didn't clear a concussion protocol, so that's a moot point. Here is Mike McDaniel, Dolphins head coach, at the press conference.
As of today, Tua has not been cleared by doctors to resume football activities on the field with his teammates. So because of that and because of the time that he's missed, I can rule him out for Sunday.
That was from yesterday's press conference.
Sound like he's straight out of Woodstock. Man, he sound like like he's straight from the Bay Area, San Francisco, just chilling. I'm like, wait a minute, Coach, come on now.
Why does it sound like in his tonality that it's like a fluid thing? I guess we often joke around with the word like fluid. It's fluid. It changes. Where it feels like it should be more definitive with Tua, regardless of whether he passes or not.
That's how I feel, Key.
I think he just on it, but still.
I think the coach is just mellow and laid back. Very chill and zen, so to speak. I think that's his deal, so it sounds a certain way. I'm glad he's not playing, and not because I don't like the Dolphins, Jay. I care about his health, and his health is so important. As I said yesterday on many shows, including ours, is you've got to look at this thing in the offseason and really dive into it and study it up. The neurological doctors have to really study this thing up because, one, he's young. Okay, yes, he's made some money, and if he decides, whatever, the Dolphins go a different way, they may owe him some money. But in the end, a lot of professional athletes are trying to get the bag at the end of the day. They want the biggest bag that they could possibly get for them and their families. And they're competitors, and they want to compete and play. But sometimes you have to help people protect themselves from themselves. And in this situation, whoever signed off on him not playing, that was the right decision, because you got to look beyond the game against Buffalo on Sunday and look 30 years down the line of the effects that this could potentially have on not only him, but his children, his grandchildren, and on down the line, because if something happened to this young man, we'll be having a different conversation.
I think back to when we were talking about MVP, and one of the points I made about Tua was, whether or not it's wise for him to be playing right now, the fact that he missed those games with the concussion and then he came back, it's inspirational. Look at him, he's a tough guy, right? And he's winning and he's playing well. But I always
that's the way it used to be, Max.
I always made sure to say, Wait, say it again, Key?
I said that used to be the way it was.
Yeah, right.
Tough guy, look at him, he's playing like he fight, 30 years
they
ago.
glamorize it. Yeah, of course. And of course, in a full contact sport, that kind of toughness does inspire because you need toughness in a full contact sport. I get it. But I always made sure to say, like, I don't know about the wisdom of him doing it. Looking back, guys, just because, oh, no, hey, we can ride with this, it's working, he's doing it. When the problem with playing him 4 days after the initial event, because he cleared protocol, the problem with that was once that happens within a 4-day span, I really think that's it for the season, at least. I think that, because the next time your head gets knocked, it's probably going to happen again. This is my experience watching boxing, right?
Yeah, it totally, if you remember I said, once you get it once, you get a tap twice, and then it's a barrel thump the third time, and then, and then you just, it recycles and repeats itself. They sit you down, Jay, for, you get your third concussion, they sit you down for 6 weeks, they say, oh, he's cleared to go. A guy plays 1 or 2 games, and next time he get hit, boom, he's out again for 6 weeks. I mean, that's the way it always was. Now I'm glad that this program is in place to make these tough decisions.
Yeah. And let me just say, from my experience watching the fights, I'm almost 50, right? Like for a long time, it's that if the second concussion occurs too close to the first one, this is anecdotal, I get it. I'm not a scientist here. But you can use your common sense and observation and draw conclusions. The problem is from then on, it feels like the wiring is different. When they decided to play him 4 days after the initial event, Jay, it seems to me it has jeopardized his career.
Oh, 1,000%. And we're not talking about 2 concussions. I mean, 2 concussions is a lot. You're talking about 3 in one season. So it does lead you to the next question as if, now look, we'll get into the Bills and the Dolphins game with Skylar Thompson now and how that changes, and the line has moved up a little bit to 12.5 instead of 9. But ultimately, the bigger discussion around is Tua your certified definitive quarterback moving forward for this franchise, considering how injury prone he is, being concussed 3 times.
No, we got to look at another direction.
Yeah, Jimmy G, Derek Carr, other options, draft.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo healthy makes the most sense because he knows the system, being with McDaniel. But at the same time, you got to make a decision on where you place Tua. Even if he's not your long-term solution, is he a backup? Is he a short-term? Like, do you still want to play with that, or do you want to give him his $6 million, $7 million, $8 million or whatever on his last year before you make a decision to pick up that option in May? So you got all the way to May to pick up the 5th-year option.
Yeah, Key,
his 4-year.
I'm going to say one thing, Key. It's I really feel for Tua, man.
Me too.
It's because your warrior spirit as an athlete always wants to get back on the court or on the field to play. And Key, you had made mention of chasing the bag. Like, with the way this dude has played throughout the beginning of the season, before he started getting concussed, like, he was on his way to getting his bag. And that is completely jeopardized now.
There's someone who knows something about
that. Yeah, it's so unfortunate for him. And it's the world of sports. This is how it works.
What you don't want is you don't want to make decisions based on chasing that bag.
I know.
And that's what I was alluding to earlier, is that, look, in the end, all athletes want to get paid, and they want to get paid for their services at a high level. And he was certainly headed in a direction where he would have gotten a different type of contract than his rookie deal. If they decide that they don't want to part ways with him, either they're going to pick up the 5th-year option or they don't pick up the 5th-year option, which if I was in the front office, I wouldn't pick up the 5th-year option, because I probably have already gone to Stephen Ross and said, look, we drafted him. We know we want him to be our franchise quarterback, but this situation with him and these concussions are not what we want to put our hands on right now. We want him to have a healthy life. Even if the owner's yelling at me, I still would honor the rest of his contract. But then as far as a football player goes, I would have to move on from him because his health is more important. And I know there's been other players this year that have had concussions. Kenny Pickett, I think, has been in the situation of protocol a couple times. But he continues to get over his situation. It occurred twice, where now you got 2 or 3 in a short window. Like Max said, it's a different situation with certain players. Concussions, when you continue to get them in the same season repeatedly,